All right, all meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. All rise, please, and face the east for the Moorish American prayer. Right, and facing the east, we're going to have our heels together in a V formation, 45-degree angle. Arms are going to be held up in a cactus pose, 2 fingers on the right, 5 on the left. Facing the east, repeat after me. Allah,
Allah,
the Father of the universe,
Father of the universe,
Father of love,
Father of love,
truth,
truth,
peace,
peace,
freedom, and justice.
and justice.
Allah is my protector,
Allah is my protector,
my guide,
my God,
and my salvation,
and my salvation,
by night and by day,
by night and by day,
through his holy prophet,
through his holy prophet,
Drew Ali.
Drew Ali.
Amen.
Amen.
All right, Islam, Islamism. Right, we want to announce that this meeting is now open. First and foremost, we always rise and give the highest praise to the Most High, the creator of the universe, our Father God, Allah. We give honors to our divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali, for bringing us our divine creed and nationality so that we may learn to love instead of hate. We give honors to the forerunner to the prophet, our brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey, for preparing the way for purity and love. We also give honors to all the Adab sheiks and all the faithful Moors that make up the grand body of the Moorish divine and national movement. We give honors to the first appointed Supreme Grand Sheikh by our prophet, and that's our brother E. Millie Ill. We also give honors to the current Supreme Grand Sheikh, our brother K. Dandridgel. We also give honors to the Grand Council of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and we give honors to all the faithful on this call. Islam, Islamism. Now, Brother Jackson Bey, would you please read the Divine Constitution and Bylaws?
Islam. I rise to give a perfect praise to Allah and honors to the Prophet Drew Ali, and honors to my forefathers and my foremothers, and honors to the Asiatic nations and the Muslims all over the world. Salvation, Allah, unity. The Moorish Science Temple of America. The Divine Constitution and Bylaws. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the Chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce law with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because on a Friday, the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday, the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are part and parcel of the government and must live a life accordingly. Act 5. This organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and partial of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given as slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national names to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Jew Ali, through the guidance of this Father God Allah. Noble Jew Ali, founder. Moorish American prayer, Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Jew Ali. Amen. Moorish Science Temple of America, home office, Noble Jew Ali, home office, Chicago, Illinois, USA. Islam, Islam, Islamism.
Islamism and gratitude, brother. Before we move forward, I just want to ask the person who said it says J for your name, please either take the mic and state your name and location, or in the chat, write your name, location, and your email or phone number. Okay, so we take attendance at all our meetings, so just gonna need you to do that. All right, yeah. If you don't know how, you're gonna have to touch the screen to turn your mic on, or to go into the chat. If you want to go into the chat, but we'll need you to state your name, location, email, and phone number. Right? Thank you. And Islam. Let's see. Brother Cole Bay, would you be able to read the rich?
Rise and give honors to our great God. Rise and give honors to our prophet Noble Jew Ali. Rise and give honors to our forerunner Marcus Messiah Garvey. Rise and give honors to all Muslims on attendance and all Muslims on this planet. Prophet warns all Muslims to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members they must end all radical speeches while at work, in their homes, and on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards to Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their rewards from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found them. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Jew Ali, and the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans. They do their part in protecting the prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Peace. Noble Jew Ali. To be proclaimed at every meeting. Islam. I am glad to know I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation. They claimed that I was a joke and unreal. But now, since they found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that pay their divine respects to me and the movement will be remembered. That's why I'm calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it back. Never before have I needed finances so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet, Noble Drew Ali. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Islam, this is instructions from your prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Be faithful unto your forefather divine and national creed that you will be blessed for your good works that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is on now, but the weak can comprehend it not. And the times are drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I Noble Drew Ali. That is why many hearts are turned to stone. Many have eyes to see but cannot see, ears to hear but cannot hear, lest they will be confounded of their sins. These are the trying hours now, dear Lord. And every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. You have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers. You fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace. Your divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Islam, Islam, Islamism. Love you, Moors.
Gratitude, brother. Islamism. All right. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Just want to repeat that one last time. Make sure, especially if this is your first time calling in, make sure that you type your name, location. Make sure that you type your name, location, and your email or phone number in the chat. All right. We take attendance at all of our meetings, so we'll need everybody participating to do that. Just in the chat, just type your name, phone number, email, or location. All right, and that's it. All right, Islam. So that's all that I ask, and we're gonna go ahead and move forward today. We're gonna be studying from the Koran Questionnaire today, going over questions or keys 41 through 50. We will build on that, and then we'll open the floor up to questions. So if anybody has any questions or any statements, anything that you wish to share, just remember after we go through the questionnaire, we will open up the floor. Islam. Brother Lawsonell, would you please read those, go through keys 41 through 50 for us?
Islam, Sheikh. First I rise and give praise to the Most High Father God Allah, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and all the Moors present on the call today around the world. Islam. Question 41. What is the everlasting gospel? It is a saving power that comes from Allah through our ancient father by his prophet. 42. What is the covenant of the great God Allah? Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the earth, which the Lord may thy God Allah hath given thee. 46. At what age did Jesus begin to teach? At the age of 12. 44. Where did he teach? India, Africa, and Europe. 45. How long did he teach? 18 years. 46. What did Jesus say that would make you free? Truth. 47. What is truth? Truth is Art. 48. What is Art? Art is Allah. 49. Can truth change? Truth cannot change or pass away. Islamism. 50. What other names do we give to truth? Holy breath. Islam.
All right, Islam, gratitude, brother. Okay, so we just went through questions 41 through 50. Let's go ahead and build on that. And if anyone has any questions or anything that you want to share on this, feel free to chime in. Okay, so you can unmute your mics if you want to share anything. Feel free to speak up. But just going back up to question 41, what is the everlasting gospel? It is the saving power that comes from Allah through our ancient fathers by his prophet. Okay, so the everlasting gospel, that's the good news, everlasting good news, right? It's the saving power. Does anybody have any idea what that could be? Like what we could be speaking on? Anybody want to add? Islam.
Oh, go ahead, brother. Go ahead. Islam.
All right, sir.
Islam.
Join the meeting.
I was gonna make it real quick. I don't know if I'm right. I don't know if I'm gonna point on it or not. But I want to say it like the 40-day system is more on the aspect of the gospel of the good news is more on the aspect of knowing that the abundance that you have, knowing that the abundance that Allah gives you. Islam, I'll just leave it short and simple on that. That's how I kind of look at that. Islam.
I think somebody else wanted to chime in too.
Islam. I was just gonna say, I think it's truth, just the truth, man. That's the saving power. You know, especially when we consider what the prophet brought to us. The simplest thing and the most powerful thing, he brought us the truth and knowledge of who we are. And the only way to know the Father God of Allah is to know ourselves.
Islam. So gratitude to both of you. Both on point. Jackson Bay hit it right on the head with truth. I see somebody too in the chat said truth. The brother Scott Bay, Islam. That's right and exact, because with the prophet returning truth to us, the truth of who we are, and also the truth of our divine nature. In the Quran, it's got divine records for us, records of who we truly are that have been hidden from us. There's only a certain few who knew this, and they weren't coming to the hoods. They weren't coming to Detroit. They weren't coming to these places to tell us about it, right? It was a secret. So he brought us the truth of who we were or who we are. He brought us the truth of our true nature. Right in the beginning of the Quran, it lets us know the true nature of the Creator, Allah, and our connection to it. We know the spirit man is Allah in man. So we know that Allah is in us, right? So we know that we're connected to the divine, and then we're given divine instructions. So when something's divine coming over from God, it's truth. So we're given instructions on how to subdue the lower nature or the lower self. We're given instructions on how to align with our higher self. And so just by having this truth, this sets us up for success. It sets us up for prosperity. There's nothing anyone can do to come against that. And it's almost impossible to fail. Or maybe I shouldn't say almost, it is impossible to fail, right? By walking in truth. And it's harder for people to pull the wool over our eyes, as we can see that's going on big time with the mainstream media. Things are used to push agendas. You have corporations, you have different governments, you have different people pushing their agendas. And when you have your truth, right, none of that really affects you, right? Because you can walk in truth. You're not going to fall for the same traps, right? And so that's powerful. So just that simple. The everlasting gospel is the truth. The truth was returned to us. Okay? And Islam, I see we have another hand raised. Islam.
First and foremost, I want to rise and give praise to Allah, honors to his prophet, noble to Ali, honors to all you more than attendants. I just want to add the truth is knowing that Allah and man walks together as one. Islam, right here, right in the front of our circle 7, it says, know thyself in Allah. So you could say you know who Allah is, but if you don't know Allah's in you, you ain't getting it done. Islam.
All right, Islam. And as the sister said, gratitude, it's not even just about just knowing that Allah's in you, right? We're given steps on how to actualize this in the physical. Why? Because ultimately we're to regain our lost estate, right? We fell away from this knowledge, this understanding that Allah is in us and of the higher and lower self. So he returned that to us. And we were the dejected, and we still are. But especially at this point in time, nobody really was coming to us like that. All right. Unless they were just trying to sell something to us. So the brother brought the truth to us, the prophet and the everlasting gospel that saves us from ignorance, drug addiction, selfishness, self-hatred, right? You can't hate yourself. You can't hate your hair. All of these things, like how many of y'all heard people saying good hair and bad hair? Like, all of these things that just breed self-hatred. And this stuff is being taught to the children. So this stuff doesn't work anymore, right? Even if you arm your children with this, those types of things won't even affect them. They will be able to shame adults who are talking like this to them, right? Because they've been armed with the truth. And that's how beautiful it is. So you can't pull the wool over our eyes anymore. All right. We're not going for it. Islam. And that's powerful. And that is wisdom. I see also the brother Malik Ali said wisdom that gives you the discernment of truth. Islam. So that brings the balance. As the brother Harris Bates said, that's bringing balance back to the equation now. Islam. We have another hand raised. Islam.
That's why the story of our brother Jesus is so important, because Jesus spoke truth. All right. Jesus said, he told us what he could do, what we could do. Everything that he could do, we can also do. And if he wasn't on the cross, he could be the cross.
This is something that can't be overlooked. I might say this a lot of times, but the spiritual teachings are the most powerful. That's why it's in the beginning of the Quran. That's why it's harped on so much. I always share this photo too, this meme where you had the basically an explanation of the Egyptian gnosis, how to subdue the lower animal self. Okay, and you have that. Okay, this was extremely important for any mastermind in the ancient schools of thought. It wouldn't matter if you were over here in the Americas talking about the Olmecs, the people who built the pyramids over here, talking about ancient Egypt. It wouldn't matter. It's all about subduing the lower self. Okay, and if you could read that the meme that's up here, right? You see the pharaoh holding the shepherd's staff and the flail, and so it's all about subduing the lower self, mastery over the lower self. Okay, and so everything's right in alignment with what the prophet brought to us, because ultimately we are to regain our lost estate. And you can't regain your lost estate, if you are a slave to your lower self, if you're a slave to sin. All right. So this is powerful. We can't overlook this, because as we said before, once you are armed with the truth, you have the divine instructions. Now you are working on bringing out Allah in you. Now you're moving, right? It's not about just hearing hey, I could file some paperwork, or I could apply certain things, and that'll make me some money, or that'll get me out of trouble, or what. It's it's bigger than that. This is about actually unfolding Allah in you. We are in the age of Aquarius now. We are in a new time period, a new period. How long does this period last? Like 2,600 years? Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's something like that. So we're in a whole new age. And just because it's not being talked about on TV doesn't mean this is not true. No, we are in a new age, and prophets come before the dawn of a new age to prepare the people. And even though we may have been at the bottom of the totem pole, he came to us, and he didn't come. He came from amongst us, all right, to teach us so that we could show the way, right? So, hang on. Okay, I thought someone else had their hand raised, but I'm going to go ahead and go on to question 42 unless somebody else has something they want to add to that. Right. So question 42. What is the covenant? Excuse me. What is the covenant of the great God Allah? And then the answer is, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the earth land which the Lord thy God hath given thee. All right. And so just right off the top of my head, that's right in alignment with the previous question, with the truth being returned to us. Right. So now we know who our ancestors are. We know who they are. And we now know that we need to put in some work to get back in alignment with them. How do we honor them? We honor them by keeping the traditions going. We honor them by returning to our ways, returning to our divine creed, right? And in doing this, we will be prosperous. In doing this, you don't even have to worry about the next step. Not saying that you're not going to take care of your business here. It just means that whatever business we're doing is going to be prosperous because we are now in alignment with our higher nature by honoring our mother and father. Islam. Islam. All right. And before we move forward too, I just want to ask that everybody this in the Zoom, please share your name, your location, and your email or phone number in the chat. If you don't know how to use the chat, if you're on the phone, you just tap the screen and you'll see the options come up to go into the chat room. All right. But we just asked that everybody in Zoom shares their information in the chat room. Okay. All right. And so, yeah, going back into this, though, we have a covenant, right? The covenant is a binding agreement between two or more parties. And then who is our covenant with? It's with the great God Allah. Right, it's not a covenant with other men, other man, right, other nations. This is a covenant between us and God. It originated with Allah. It was sent down to us through our prophet, and it came with divine instructions to be followed so that you come into the covenant. All right, and so we've always had these types of covenants. We got out of it. We got out of our ways. We got away from our divine nature. And the Prophet Noble Drew Ali came to bring us back in alignment. And by doing this, prosperity, abundance, all of these things are guaranteed. They're virtually guaranteed, right? So if you look at your Holy Quran, you'll see at the top of every page, on one side it says divine instructions. The next side it says from the Holy Prophet. So we have divine instructions throughout the entire Quran. And by abiding by these, by coming in tune with these, you are honoring your foremother and forefathers, and you are coming into the divine covenant. And some of the things, I mean, when you're just going through it, when you're seeing the marriage instructions and different things on how to carry yourself, how to conduct yourself on an individual basis, and then also as a community, it's common sense. It's not even hard to abide by. It's not even difficult. So that's the mercy of Allah. It's not even difficult to abide by the divine instructions, which guarantee our success, not survival, because we've been in survival mode for so long, right? We've been in survival mode for so long that, you know, a lot of us are just thinking about just getting by. But this guarantees our success and prosperity. All right. So this is extremely important. right? To honor your father and mother means to keep alive their dreams, their values, their creed and principles, and to preserve their name and identity and their history and the heritage. And we can't do that if we're walking around sagging our pants, right? Because that's bringing dishonor. We can't do that if even some things that we may not think are so bad, if we're abusing alcohol or just, there's so many different things that we are doing that are out of alignment with our higher nature, right? So if we know who we are, we know that we descend from the creators of civilization. We know that we have to step it up. And by doing this, your success is guaranteed. All right. There was an excavation in Egypt, and there was an inscription that was found on the tomb of an Egyptian noble, and it said, it said, I made live the names of my fathers, which I found obliterated on the doorways. Behold, he is a good son who perpetuates the names of his ancestors. Okay. And so this is an ancient proverb, just an ancient way of thinking that was returned to us just by honoring our father and mother, the past and the present, right? We preserve and perpetuate our own existence, right? And it's kind of like just knowing that you're somebody, you come from something greater. You can't fall for the traps and things that have been set up for us. So that in and of itself is a self-fulfilling prophecy. We can't ignore that step, Islam. So unless somebody else wants to build on 42, moving on 43. And that's at what age did Jesus begin to teach? And then the answer is at the age of 12, Islam. Does anybody have anything they want to share on that or any insight?
Peace and love. I think when I just thought about this, right, when we got to like the age of 12, right, he began to teach at 12, and then John's mother died at 12, right? So I'm just thinking the 12 principles, the 12 virtues. I mean, obedience to religion. That's what it means. Once you obtain, or you understand, or you start climbing the ladder, the 12, virtues, that's when you'll be able to conquer, death, or conquer or begin to teach, about the breath. So Islam, I could be wrong. That's just my little input. Islam.
Islam, I see we have another hand raised. Gratitude, brother.
Islam, I just want to add to that because we do know that 12 equals spiritual salvation or spiritual fulfillment. So, like the brother said, that's the top of that 12-step ladder. And we can go on for days about the number 12, 12 hours in a day, 12 entrances to the step pyramid in Egypt. I mean, the 12 zodiac signs, we can go on forever, but we know why now.
Islam. So yeah, both of you are definitely on point. We know not to overlook anything in here, any of these keys. As you both were saying, you have the 12-step ladder, and we know that the prophet gave us or prepared the Quran for us with the 12 virtues in there for a reason. We know that the 12 virtues, that as we master each virtue, we further subdue the lower self. And that this 12-step ladder is something that you climb to reach the pinnacle of perfected man. So this is how you subdue the lower self and unfold. Each time you do it, you further unfold Allah in you. And so that's powerful. And then with the 12, like was said, we could just keep going on because you have the 12 virtues of the zodiac, right? And each virtue from the 12-step ladder, they line up with the zodiacs. You have the 12 cranial nerves. I mean, it just keeps going on and on and on, right? And the ancient Egyptians noticed this too. They put that in their mythology. This is why Jesus had 12 disciples, Islam. So, that's just the I look at it mostly from a symbolic standpoint, but that's powerful just in that measure alone, Islam. So yeah, not necessarily looking at that as a number for an age. I'm looking at the metaphysical or the spiritual meaning behind the number 12, Islam. So moving on to 44, where did he teach? And then this would be contrary to what's popular, the popular belief, because the answer is India, Africa, and Europe. So Jesus wouldn't have been confined to Palestine, right? Because we're given the secret lessons, or we're given the missing years in his life. We spent years in India, Europe, and Africa. And he spent several years teaching, right? And this the steps that we're given, or we're given a template on how to further unfold Allah within us. We're seeing his spiritual evolution, and we're seeing how to basically just how to apply this to ourselves, right? So this is powerful. Like these lessons, we're told, were held back for a time, and they weren't unveiled or released until the time was right, until you could say in the early 1900s, which would have been less than 100 years before the coming of the new age, right? So these lessons on how to unfold Allah in you were released, just before the coming or the dawning of the age of Aquarius, right? And so all of these things were done in time. And if you look at what was going on in that time period in the early 1900s, when the Prophet was teaching, you could see several people were going into areas like Egypt, like physically going into Egypt, and then coming out, writing books and disseminating it, getting it out to the world. You had oh man, Aleister Crowley. Yeah, I'm just trying to think. Aleister Crowley, he was in Egypt. He came out. You had Rudolf Hess, who's he was a Nazi, right? He actually, I think, grew up in Egypt. He spent time there. He came out. He wrote books. You have several other people as well who are doing this as well, and then taking that information back to their people. Islam. And Islam, in the chat, you are correct. Palestine was India or Hindustan, or whatever it would have been called at that time. So in many ways, those are the same people. The splits came along later on. But in the Quran, went into India. That he went were like going like deep into the heart of India, in places where people worship Krishna and had different beliefs. Like you didn't. These lessons were not in the Bible. So the areas that he was in, like Jagannath, in some of these places, they're in the interior of India. So that was left out of the Bible. These were some of the books that were, kept out or kept away from the people. Islam. All right. And then 45, how long did he teach? And then the answer is 18 years. Once again, I would say that's mostly symbolic as well. I'll have to do more research on that, because just looking at the way that the master schools are set up, I don't think people were considered adults until 40 years of age. Right? I'm not sure what time or what age people were when they started going into the schools to to learn spiritual teachings. But I think that's mostly symbolic. If anybody else has any insight on that, feel free to speak up.
Islam. I don't think I got insight. I just was looking at something, and maybe anybody came back on, we could build together. I just think 45 and 46 on 44. And we dealing with Jesus, so we know Jesus in so many various ways is the I am, the spirit. So the spirit of justice, if we look at 36, right? But look, just to say focus, it's the spirit. So the spirit can teach only could begin to teach once it mastered the 12 step ladder, the 12 virtues, or when your spirit become awakened and your 12 cranial nerves, then you get down where did he teach, right? India, Africa, Europe. I'm thinking mind, body, well, body, soul, spirit, as far as Europe, Africa, India. And then the 18, 1 plus 8, that's 9, meaning completion. So that's just something I was throwing out there. Hopefully somebody could camelback or build on that.
Islam. So gratitude. That's right where I was thinking too. Just with the 1 plus 8 equal, meaning completion, meaning 9. Islam. So that's the way that I would look at it for the most part, looking at the spiritual insight in there. Islam. Question 46. What did Jesus say that would make you free? And then the answer is truth. Islam. And that's what we were speaking about earlier, right? Because being free is having your state of being not being determined by someone else or by something beyond your own nature, right? So you have to have the power to act on your true nature, without anything else, anyone else's compulsions or desires being able to affect, your reality, right? So being uninhibited and unrestrained, that's what it truly means to be free. And so by bringing the truth to us, the truth of our nature, our divine nature, our heritage, and then given in divine instructions, on how to unfold Allah in us, right? Understanding, okay, how we got into this situation, how we're in a situation where now the lower self or your body's consciousness is how kind of taking over. And now you're learning how to subdue it, how to get back into your higher nature. So by having all of this knowledge, this truth, armed with truth, you can't fall for any of the traps, any things that's, set up to keep us further away from our greater good. And ultimately, this is something that can't be taken away from you, right? It's an intangible, right? It's not like he just gave you a box and said, okay, keep this in your closet somewhere. No, he gave you the truth. It's intangible. You can't see it. They can't suppress it. They can't take it from us. Even with just the fact that we're here now, we have people actually in here, people watching this, online on YouTube. That means that this intangible thing, this truth, this is something that can't be suppressed. Are they teaching this to us in schools? No. There's a phenomenon going on right now where even though there's no resources behind getting this out to us, even though they're not rapping about it, even though it's not out there, we're just gravitating towards it. Why aren't they talking about this? Why isn't this like on Dateline? They had a whole Dateline special about quote unquote black women couldn't find a mate. They had like 2 or 3 parts to it, 2 or 3 part special about how they couldn't find mates. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. But we have a real phenomenon that's happening that has no resources behind it. It's just us gravitating towards this. Something's coming online inside of you in your DNA that's making you wake up and come to this. All right. And it's getting no coverage and it's still happening. So this is the truth. And this is what makes us free. And we are coming to it, even though there's even forces that are trying to keep us from coming to it. Why? Because they lie. They'll push lies out there. They'll teach us a false, distorted view of history, right? And we're still coming to it. So this intangible thing that was returned to us, right? It cannot be destroyed. It can't. And it can't be taken away from us either. And once you're armed with it, you're now, especially if you walk in this, you live it, you're unhindered upon. You can be successful and prosperous Nobody can stop us now. Like, we can't go backwards. The same tricks. It doesn't matter who they gonna pull out. You're gonna get like Jesse Jackson or somebody else to come out with like a new nickname for us, because they always got, they have to change their nicknames, right? Every 20 years, right? We can't be African American for much longer because that's going to be played out. They're going to have to do something else. Are we going for that? No, it's impossible, because we know the truth. And the truth will set you free. That's what Jesus reportedly said. Okay? And so by having the truth, that's revolutionary, and nothing can, no one can take it from you. And when you have it, your success is guaranteed. You're free, right? We're finally free. The prophet actually did free us. And people may look at the strife that happened, when the prophet passed, how the temple started to splinter off and everything, but it didn't matter, because he brought us the truth. He returned it, and you can't destroy that. It just had to germinate amongst the people, and it had to, go through our communities until we were finally ready to do it. And so here we are at this day, like saying no resources, no money behind it, and we're still here. Islam. Two, just one last time, just want to make sure everybody in here shared the name, location, share your email or phone number. If anyone didn't, we'll just put them in the waiting room. Okay. All right. So going into the next question, what is truth? Truth is ought. All right. And ought encompasses the whole of that which is. It's the whole entire reality. Right? So outside of ought, nothing can exist, because it's absolute righteousness. It's infinite. It's eternal and holy. It has no beginning or end. It's the causeless cause, the rootless root. Islam. Right. And that's 48. That's basically what we just said, right? Ought is Allah. Islam. Allah, truth, and ought are all synonymous. Absolute righteousness, supreme intelligence. That's the ultimate condition of all things. And 49, can truth pass away? Truth cannot change or pass away. Islam. Islam, truth cannot change. And truth is ought, and ought is Allah. Allah is the same yesterday, today, and forever. It's the only thing that changes not. In all the world, there are two things. The one is truth. The other is falsehood. And falsehood is that which seems to be. Now, truth is ought and has no cause, and yet it is the cause of everything. All right. And that's what was acknowledged by Jesus over 2,000 years ago. And then it was reiterated by Prophet Noble Drew Ali in our day and time. And this is the same message ultimately that all the prophets have delivered to the people, because truth is the ultimate reality. It's unchanging. All right. So if we model our society off of truth, our marriages, our friendships, our families, everything off of truth, our business dealings, all right, they're going to be longer lasting and forever beautiful. How old is the United States of America? Technically, like it's what? 76. So it's like 240, 250 years old, right? That's nothing. Right? We have societies that lasted for millennia. Literally. Right? They can't even really put a date on ancient Egypt, because the Egyptians themselves detail themselves going back tens of thousands of years, maybe even further back than that. Right? Just one of the last incarnations of the Moorish Empire that lasted, the one that was seated in Spain, lasted from 711 to 1492. That's nearly 800 years. How can it last that long? Because at the root, this is society the dealings of the, our family structures, they're built on truth, right? We're built on truth, and truth doesn't change. It's everlasting. So if you want your institutions to be everlasting, if you want them to be strong and prosperous, they have to be built on truth, right? So we can't really be out here in the public saying that we're Moors if we don't know this, and if we're not building ourselves up and moving to act off of these principles. You can't leave any of this out. You can't. I mean, you can, but you're not going to be successful. Okay, and lastly, what other name do we give to truth? And then the answer is holy breath. Right, so if you go to chapter 37 in our Moorish Holy Quran, it's going to say the breath of heaven. And in there, the prophet says, as the breath of heaven saith unto the waters of the deep, this way shall thy billows roll and no other. Thus high and no higher shall they raise their fury. So let thy spirit, O man, actuate and direct thy flesh. All right, so if you're looking at that, all right, that's letting you know that the breath means the spirit. Right, because it's going to come in and actuate man out and direct their flesh. And heaven means God. Right, so the breath of heaven means the spirit of God. Okay, so the spirit of God, excuse me. All right, so basically the holy breath is the spirit of God, and the spirit of God, like as far as we're concerned, that's the spirit man will be Allah and man, Islam, and so these two are synonymous. It's the other name that we give to truth, the holy breath, the spirit of God, or spirit of Allah, and that's the same thing that is in us. Spirit man is the spirit of Allah in us. So that's the truth in you. And so by knowing your true nature and by connecting to your true nature, you're connecting to the spirit. Also, why I advise everyone to start meditating, even if you're only able to do it just for like 5 minutes. Right? Even if you're not able to do it every day, but make sure that you're doing it every week. I also advise everybody to try to exercise where you open your third eye. Hopefully this doesn't sound crazy to people, but to tell yourself, give yourself instructions before you go to sleep. Tell your what to do. You want to wake night. You're giving yourself instructions. You're not talking to anyone else. You're telling yourself to wake up in the middle of the night and to open your third eye. All right. And then what you're going to do, when you actually wake up, you just have to remember that. You're not going to go back to sleep. You're not going to get up and walk around while you're there, still halfway asleep, half awake. You're going to open your third eye. And by doing this, by connecting to your higher self, you're connecting to the truth. You're connecting to truth, the spirit of God in you. Islam and it's something that everyone should do because you need to know that Allah is real and that Allah is real in you. Islam. So I advise everybody to do that. We're going to go ahead and move on. Islam. Sorry, I was looking at some of the messages in the chat, but if anyone has any questions, feel free to speak up now. We're going to go ahead and open the floor.
I actually do have a question. Islam, or
Islam. Islam, the floor is open. All right, not sure what happened there, but yeah, if anyone else has any questions though, feel free to.
Yes, I do have a question.
Islam.
I was sitting here just checking out, this particular brother in the chat that's, seemed like he may be trolling. But I want to know, why is it that some of these Moors feel that Noble Drew Ali it has nothing to do with Allah, and think that just because he taught and because he taught civics that
Are you still there? Sounds like somebody just dropped off. You still there, brother?
yeah.
All right, Islam. Are you finished with your question, or you have something else?
The question was, you got Moors that feel that just because Moors is always speaking about Allah, that the Moors is not touching on nationality or civics. But I want to know, why do this one particular brother in the comments think that Allah doesn't accept the prophet, and that we quote unquote Allah Moors is basically not of what we brought?
Islam. Now I'm glad you brought that up. I would say, for the most part, that's just ignorance on.
I'm finished.
Islam. So what I'm gonna say, from my perspective, that would be because of ignorance on their part. And I'm not knocking those people. But I'm gonna share some insight as to why I'm saying that. That's ignorance on their part, that they would say that I guess that Allah doesn't accept the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, thinking that what we're teaching maybe is outside of Islam, or that it's something else. It has nothing to do with it. But in reality, if they truly studied Islam, they would see that in the Quran, as revealed by the Prophet Muhammad on 3 different occasions within the Quran, Allah says that he will send a prophet to every nation, and that the prophet would come from amongst the people and speak in their language. Okay? And that's who the Prophet Noble Drew Ali is to us. Period. Point blank. Period. Simple. He came from amongst us in North Carolina, speaking our language, not only speaking our language, but born in the late 1800s, 1886. So he was living and witnessing the Jim Crow era and the horrors and things that we had to go through. So he uniquely understood our plight. And so, I mean, we don't even have to really explain to our people that we're facing a plight, that we're dealing with systematic, strategic, racism, and just horrors that we've gone through. So it's understood. Now, an outsider, someone from another country, may not understand, but for us, we don't have to explain that. It's understood that we needed something, we needed assistance, and so Allah sent us a prophet to us, and it from a Quran standpoint, he satisfied the prerequisites for prophethood. Islam, I see another hand raised too. I'm going to come back to that though. Islam,
I just wanted to add that there is no compulsion in Islam, as long as you are practicing peace with yourself and your surroundings, and you're practicing Islam. So a lot of people get it twisted with the culture of the people who practice Islam on the East. They take that and say, well, this is what Islam is. And no, it's not. We don't live in a desert. We don't have to do what they do. Islam, that's just an example. And it's like another thing you could ask somebody who says something like that. It's like, do you not believe that you deserve a prophet? You don't believe that you deserve salvation? It's like every man, woman, and child deserves salvation on this planet. And by us following behind the gods of the European, we lost our birthright. And this is the one true way to earn that back. Islam,
gratitude system. Islam, brother.
I just wanted to come back and add on what y'all was saying, like just for like historical reference too. Like we are a people of North America, and the way that the North Africans did Islam historically, ever since they had the one feud when the first Umayyad dynasty fell apart, and then the Abbasid Caliphate started. the people that was in Baghdad, where we, Saudi Arabia, those parts, they always did Islam different from our direct forefathers, the Moorish people of North Africa, the inhabitants of North Africa. They always did Islam the way that was, like the sister said, compulsionary to where they live. And then when you come and learn about the North American, Native American Indians, the Cherokees and the Algonquins, right? They did Islam different from the North Africans and the Arabs. So like the sister said, Islam isn't compulsory. You know what I mean? So Islam. So that's just a little insight. Like ever since, if somebody really know Islam, they would know that, oh yeah, it was always been splits, and Islam, yeah, people know what I'm talking about. Like Sri Lankan Muslims or the Muslims in China, they got certain cultural things that they do that's different, but it's all similar. Allah is one. You feel me? So that's what every prophet done brought. From Muhammad, from the Prophet Drew Ali, going all the way back to Prophet Muhammad, Prophet Jesus, Prophet Buddha, so forth and so on, Confucius, so Islam.
Islam. I see somebody else had their hand raised too. Says
yes, sir.
Islam.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me, brother?
Yes, I can. Islam.
So what do we say about brothers like Grand Sheikh Khalif Muad from the temple based out here in Wisconsin, who stresses the difference between Islam and Islamism and says that the temple is Islamism?
All right, Islam. So I'm not familiar with the brother you're speaking about, but let me share something. There's a definition. The people watching this on YouTube can't see this, but it says Islamism, the true faith according to the Mohammedism. All right. So in one aspect, looking back in the early 1800s, even the early 1900s in the Prophet's time, Islamism is what was used across the board, even referring to Muslims in the East, like in Arabia. All right. So, I mean, if you're looking at it from that aspect, that's what was getting used across the board. Even if they're talking about people in Palestine, they would say that they're practicing Islamism. Now, what you're saying, I understand. We have our own. If we actually take the words of the Prophet when he's speaking on Islam for us, he's saying that it's Americanized for us, as the brother Jackson Bay said earlier. So it's to fit our needs, right? The ultimate truth is that Allah is one, and understanding that Allah is in us as well, ultimately, right? And so from that aspect, that's something that's universal. Now, I'm not trying to step on the other brother's toes. I would have to understand like really where he was coming from with that. Not that I'm trying to stand up here and push division between us and our fellow Muslims all over the world. We're not trying to do that. But at the same time, they can't come and tell us what we're doing is wrong. And I understand why he would say that there's a difference. This is kind of in alignment with what the brother was saying earlier. I guess it was someone in the chat kind of trying to talk bad about us, but they don't even really understand what they're speaking of, because if they really understood Islam, they would know that in the Quran, in Surah 14:4, Allah says we sent not a messenger except to teach in the language of his own people in order to make things clear to them. They would also note that in 1636, it says, for we assuredly sent amongst every people a messenger with the command, serve Allah and eschew evil. Of the people were some whom Allah guided and some whom on error became inevitably established. And then also in the Quran, in Surah 10, verse 47, where it says, and for every ummah, the ummah is a community or a nation, and for every ummah there's a messenger. When the messenger comes, the matter will be judged between them and with justice, and they will not be wrong, right? And so that's the true understanding, right? You can't be in the Quran 3 times and be in error. That's the true understanding that every nation is sent a messenger for the guidance and not a foreigner from amongst them and speaking their language and understanding them. And so this is what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali is to us. And so he's returning divine instructions to us, and also how we practice Islamism is suited for our needs because we are from here, right? Nobody else could do that for us. And so nobody could really say anything about whether what we're practicing is right or wrong, right? Once again, not trying to put up a wall between us and Muslims in other countries, though. We're not doing that.
Nobody, beloved.
Islam? Islam.
I don't think he's saying what we're doing is wrong. As I said, he is Grand Sheikh at a temple out here. I'm his assistant Grand Sheikh. I was
Islam.
really just trying to get other brothers' understanding of what the brothers were saying. You answered the question, you.
Islam. I appreciate that, brother. And since you brought that up, I real quick just want to read what is Islam from our Moorish literature, just for others too to have an understanding, because it's good for Moors across the board to have a unity of thought. And the best way to get unity of thought is to go to the literature from the Prophet or from the Prophet's time. All right. And so looking at what is Islam, if you have that white Moorish literature book, it's on page 24. Islam is a very simple faith. It requires man to recognize his duties towards God, Allah, his creator, and his fellow creatures. It teaches the supreme duty of living at peace with one's surroundings. It is preeminently the religion of peace. The very name Islam means peace. The goal of a man's life, according to Islam, is peace with everything, peace with Allah, and peace with man. The Quran, the holy book of Islam, teaches us that the final abode of man is the house of peace, where no vain word or sinful discourse will be heard. The holy divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali, says that a follower of Islam, in the true sense of the word, is one whose hands, tongue, and thoughts do not hurt others. Object of man's life, according to Islam, is its complete unfoldment. Islam teaches that man is born with unlimited capacities for progress. Islam does not support the idea that man was born in sin. It teaches that everyone has within him the seed of perfect development, and it rests solely with himself to make or mar his fortune. The cardinal doctrine of Islam is the unity of the Father God, Allah. We believe in one God, Allah, who is all God, all mercy, and all power. He is perfect and holy, all wisdom, all knowledge, and all truth. These are some of his greatest attributes so far as we can understand. And then to end it off, he is free from all defects, holy and transcendent. He is personal to us insofar as we see his attributes working for us and in us, but he is nevertheless impersonal because he is infinite, perfect, and holy. We do not believe that death, decay, or sleep overtakes him. Neither do we believe that he is a helplessly inactive and inert force. Nothing happens without his knowledge and will. He neither begets nor is he begotten, because these are the trails of frail and weak humanity. This unity of Allah is the first and foremost pillar of Islam. Islamism, non-religion, is to said in the chat. The Prophet returned us to the root, and we do practice Islamism. That is our religion. We could say that our faith is Islam, right? But our religion is Islamism, as the brother said, and as your Grand Sheikh said, he's writing on point. And our divine principles are love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, the highest principles known to man.
Yes, sir.
Islam. And this is something that all Moors across the board need to understand. This is where your success is. This is how you guarantee your prosperity, by getting in alignment with the divine instructions from our prophet. All right? Yes. Islam. Once again, the floor is open. If anyone else has anything they want to share, whether it's a question or comments, feel free to speak up.
Anyone?
All right. Okay, that's great too. I'm glad we were able to share. I thank all of you good Moors, you Muslims, for joining in on this call. We do this every Friday and Sunday, 7 p.m. on Zoom. We're going to be having a celebration for the Prophet on this Friday, 7 p.m. 7 times. So it'll be in alignment with our Holy Day service. So everybody feel free to come in on that and share that to some more family and friends too. Tell everybody's invited. It's open to the public. All right. We're going to go ahead and close out, though. I want to announce that we're going to go into the closing of the meeting. Let's see. Brother Seymour. Oh, hang on. Okay, I'm sorry. Did you have another question, brother?
Not I.
Okay, somebody else is on the Galaxy. You have a question?
That was me. No, I didn't.
Okay. All right. Islam. All right, Islam. Maybe you're in here twice. Okay. All right, Islam. So, Brother Seymour Bay, would you please read the divine warning?
Islam, Sheikh. First, I rise and give praise to the Most High, Father God Allah. I give honors to His holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, to the forerunner to the prophet, the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. Honors to our forefathers and mothers and to all you faithful Muslims on the call. A divine warning by the prophet for the nations. Citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are all of one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. And it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of free national government and cling to the names and principles that delude to slavery. I, the prophet, was prepared by the great God Allah to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways and go back to that state of mind of their forefathers' divine and national principles, that they will be law abiders and receive their national divine right as citizens, according to the free national constitution that was prepared for all free national beings. They are to claim their own free national name and religion. There is but one issue for them to be recognized by this government and of the earth, and it comes through the connection of the Moorish Divine National Movement, which is incorporated in this government and recognized by all other nations of the world. And through it, they and their children can receive their divine rights unmolested by other citizens, that they can cast a free national ballot under the free national constitution of the state's government and not under a granted privilege, as has been the existing condition for many generations. You who doubt whether I, the prophet, and my principles are right for the redemption of my people, go to those that know law in the city hall and among the officials in your government and ask them under an intelligent tone, and they will be glad to render you a favorable reply, for they're glad to see me bring you out of the darkness and into light. Money doesn't make the man. It is the free national standards and power that make the man and the nation. The wealth of all national governments, gold and silver and commerce, belong to the citizens alone, and without your national citizenship by name and principles, you have no true wealth. And I'm hereby calling all true citizens to stand for a national free government and the enforcement of the Constitution.
On the website, they sell it for 10.
Missionary work,
if they need us to ship it to them, they need to send at least $15.
Help me to save my people who have fallen from the constitutional laws of the government. I'm depending on your support to get them back to the constitutional fold again, that they will learn to love instead of hate and will live according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, supporting our free national constitution of the United States of America. I love my people, and I desire their unity and mind back to their own free national and divine standard, because day by day they have been violating the national constitutional laws of their government by claiming names and principles that are unconstitutional. If Italians, Greeks, English, Japanese, Turks, and Arabians are forced to proclaim their free national name and religion before the constitutional government of the United States of America, it is no more than right that the law should be enforced upon all other American citizens alike. In all other governments, when a man is born and raised there and asks for his national descent name, and if he fails to give it, he is misused, imprisoned, or exiled. Any group of people that fail to answer up to the constitutional standards of law by name and principles, because to be a citizen of any government, you must claim your national descent name, because they place their trust upon issues and names formed by their forefathers. The word Negro leads in the Latin language to the word nigger, the same as the word color alludes to anything that is painted, varnished, and dyed. And every nation must bear a national descent name of their forefathers, because honoring thy fathers and thy mothers, your days will be lengthened upon this earth. These names have never been recognized by any true American citizen of this day. Through your free national name, you are known and recognized by all nations of the earth that are recognized by said national government in which they live. The 14th and 15th Amendments brought the North and South in union, placing the Southerners who were at that time without power with the constitutional body of power. And at that time, 1865, the free national constitutional law that was in force since 1774 declared all men equal and free. And if all men are declared by the free national constitution to be free and equal, since that constitution has never been changed, there is no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendment for the salvation of our people and citizens. So there isn't but one supreme issue for the people to use to redeem that which was lost, and that is through the above statements. Then the line
They don't, like, we've been there, done that. So you have to be wise enough not to say that to them. That's just gonna turn them off. Just be like, okay.
In those days, the United States would be one of the greatest civilized and prosperous
You understand?
in the world. But if the above principles are not
I'll say something about it though without
the
being like
citizens and
rude.
my people in this government, the worst is yet to come. Because the great God of the universe is not pleased with the works that are being performed in North America by my people.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
This
something
sin-
too, because this
this
is
great
live
sin
on
must
like
be removed
YouTube
from
and
the land
Facebook.
and saved from enormous earthquakes, diseases, etc. And I, the prophet, do herein believe that this administration of the government, being more wisely prepared by more genius citizens that believe in their free national constitution and laws, and through the help of such classes of citizens, I, the prophet, truly believe that my people will find the true and divine way of their forefathers
Mhm.
and learn to stop serving carnal customs and merely ideas of man that have never done them any good, but have always harmed them. So I, the prophet,
Mhm.
am hereby calling aloud with the divine plea to all true American citizens to help me to remove this great sin which has been committed and is being practiced by my people
I
in the
know.
United States of America.
You did this.
Because they know it is not the true and divine way, and without understanding, they have fallen from the true light into utter darkness of sin. And there is not a nation on earth today that will recognize them socially, religiously,
Yes.
politically, or economically, etc., in the present condition of their endeavorment in which they themselves try to force upon a civilized world.
This how I'm gonna
They
do
will not
the
refrain
prophet's
from their
birthday,
sinful ways of action,
where it's gonna be
and
live
deeds
on all
of
these things.
altruism,
You hear me?
segregation, and everything that brings harms to human beings.
However, I can't
They have
share
brought the Southerners
on the
to all
screen.
these great misuses. But I have traveled in the South,
On here?
and I have
Yeah.
examined the conditions there, and it is the works of my people continuously practicing the things which bring dishonor, disgrace, and disrespect to any nation that lives the life.
Oh
And I am
yeah.
hereby calling
Okay.
on all true American citizens for moral support and finance to help me
Yeah, it's
in my
too
great
much, man.
missionary work, to
Maybe.
bring my people out of darkness into marvelous light. From the prophet, Islam, Islam, Islamism. Peace and blessings.
All right, Islamism, gratitude, brother. Believe I skipped over to brother J. Scott Bay. So you had your hand raised. You had the floor, brother.
Islam.
Islam.
This is Brother Scott Bay. I want to kind of be fast. I didn't want to. I wanted to say something prior to the ending of the meeting, so I want to be formal. So I just want to say thank you for having me on. Hopefully, you got all the information that you asked for throughout the meeting for me, and I'll be expecting the email, and hopefully, I'll be able to join you guys for the prophet celebration. Peace, love to everybody.
Islam. Gratitude, brother. Peace and love. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate you. Also wanted to just say something too. To gratitude to the brother Shaw Bay. He had said his earlier we were speaking on the prophet. He said the prophet is the reason that basically that we're able to practice Islam in America. So all Muslims should pay homage to the prophet. I don't care what country they come from, you know, what nation, how they practice Islam. Doesn't matter. They should everyone should pay homage and give honors because he opened the doors up for them to have the freedom to practice Islam, you know, and for us, he did it for us. But by default, pretty much everything that we do benefits other people. You know, affirmative action benefited everyone. So when the prophet opened the doors for Islam, it affected everyone, whether they're from India, Pakistan, um, North Africa, it didn't matter. It opened it up for everyone. All right, so everyone should pay homage to the prophet and give honors. And then also too, what we're doing here when we practice, when we study, this is extremely important. The message that the prophet Noble Drew Ali brought to us, he brought the Quran to our people in 1928. Okay, no one was coming to our people in the state that we were in and letting them know that the creator is in you. And then there are steps to unfold this within you, right? Because a lot of us, when we come into consciousness, a lot of us start to shun things like church, for example, because maybe that was the only exposure to spirituality that we had, and maybe it wasn't good enough. So people tend to say things like, "Oh, I'm not into religion," and that's fine and cool and all, but there's actually steps to this. Just like in ancient Egypt, where you had a mystery school, an ancient mystery school, there were steps for it. Steps for what? Steps for unfolding God in you. You can't just wake up and say, "Oh, I'm conscious. I'm Superman now." You can say that, but you don't really have that connection. You're not really there. But the ancients had steps to subdue your lower nature. Your body has its own consciousness. It's alive. It's trying to protect itself. It seeks self-gratification. It has all types of things about its own nature that we don't even recognize. Why? Because we weren't educated about it. And so this actually lets you know about the nature of your lower self, that your body's alive. And that, hey, you know, when your body's doing this is why also in the Koran Questionnaire, we're given the names of Satan, the names of your lower self. And by knowing those different names, right, give the 5 names that are given to the descendants of Adam and Eve: Lucifer, Satan, devil, dragon, and beast. That's question 64. But in knowing that, and then the next one is how many souls are there too. But in knowing those 5 names, you can go and look up the actual meanings of those. So now you have the nature of your lower self. And so when you come upon situations, you know when these thoughts that are coming to you, they're coming from your lower self, because you know how to recognize it. And then we have divine instructions on how to subdue it. Why are you subduing it? Because you want to dwell in your higher self. This is why it was shared earlier, the meme from ancient Egypt. It's just like people that want to get into ancient Egypt and chematology and all this stuff. I'm not knocking it. I love it. But guess what? It's not just something to look at. It's not just something cool. This is how you bring it out. This is how you actually do it in real life. And maybe that's not fun, right? To actually do the real work to bring out in you, right? That's the fun part. Just saying, "Oh, I'm God," right? But that's not good enough. You have to actually take the steps to bring it about. And so the reason I say that is to say that this is what the prophet returned to us. He gave you the steps so that you're not just putting on the headdress like the Pharaoh's wearing and pretending to be the Pharaoh. No, you're doing the work, right? If you turn around a lot of those statues, like the one you see of the Pharaoh, a lot of times you'll turn it around and you'll see that headdress that he had, that coming down over his shoulders, those are the wings of Horus on his back, or the wings of the falcon on his back. And what does that mean? That means that he's in alignment with his higher self. And so it wasn't just symbols. You actually have to do the work. And so what we're doing, the prophet used to carry a card that said he was an Egyptian adept. So he returned these steps to us. This system. There's an actual system, which may be hard to believe. People think it's all gone. It's been lost, or they'll believe it if a European person showed it to them. But they won't believe that one of us had these steps. So he's returning these steps to us so that we can subdue our lower nature. And it's not just something like in ancient Egypt, the only people who would have had it would have been the pharaohs, the noble class, the priesthood. But here, it's for all of us. Okay? And this is not just for pretend. This is for real. It's not good enough just to read about it. You have to do the work to bring this about, because ultimately we are all to regain our lost estate. Man is the Lord of the plane of manifest and the soul plane. And so, it doesn't get any deeper than that. And it doesn't get any realer than that. And I can't think of anyone else, prior to the prophet who really was coming that hard with that type of insight, getting you straight to the source, unfolding God, man. It's powerful. And, it can't be overlooked. And this is why we meet. This is why we do this. So I just wanted to share that just so that everyone knows, man, this is not something to scoff at. No, that would be like scoffing at the ancient mystery schools, and this is real. It's as real as it gets. If you open up the Quran right there in the first chapter, boom, telling you how we came into being, how you are connected to Allah, how Allah's in everything, how we're all connected to everything by invisible cords. It doesn't get any realer than that. So on that note, though, I'm going to go ahead and close out. Before I close, though, I will open the floor up. If anyone has any more questions, feel free to ask. Any? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and read the additional laws for Moorish Americans. By the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Act 1, Grand Sheikhs and governors and heads of all temples, all businesses. Each said temple must be approved by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali before acting upon by any members. Let it be finance, property, or any line of life that will cause the members to sacrifice finances, etc. That will cause the support of any group of members. Any former officer that violates these laws is subject to be removed from his office under a heavy restriction, etc. by the Prophet or the Grand Sheikh. Act 2, all members are to attend their ADEP meetings and their public meetings promptly. If a member is found standing around on their meeting period, shall be fined 50 cents on the first case, and on the second, he will be fined $1, which will go on your emergency fund. If member is working on his monthly dues must be paid, and if he has money in the bank, he must subscribe for as much as he is able to the Moorish Uplifting Fund, because it takes finance to uplift the nation. Act 3, it is the lawful and divine duty of every good member, if he is able in finance, to aid me in saving the nation, and if he does not, he is an enemy to the cause of uplifting his own people, and justice must catch you. Let it be he or she according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, as I have the power invested in my hands, and I will have to enforce the law in order to save the nation. Act 4, all members, while up making a public speech, must not use any assertion against the American flag or speak radical against the church or any member of any organized group, because we are to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, the 5 highest principles known to man. Act 5, all members must promptly attend their meetings and send their children to Sunday school, and the teacher must confirm himself to the questionnaire, and let every member exercise his 5 senses who is able to do so, because out from your Sunday school comes the guiders of the nation. Act 6, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7, all members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and become industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father, God, Allah, Islam, Islamism. All right. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. We ask that you all rise and face the east for the closing prayer. You do not need to repeat after me. All right, and as we rise and face the east, we have our heels together in a V formation. Your feet are at a 45-degree angle. And we have our hands up in the cactus pose, 2 fingers on the right, 5 fingers on the left, facing the east. Allah, bind our hearts and minds back to our ancient forefathers, divine creed and principles. We ask this in thy holy name and the 7 Elohim. Amen. All right, Moors. Islam, Islamism.
Islamism.
Peace and love.
Peace.
Peace and love, Moors.
Peace and love. Be safe.
Islam is
In
independent.
the backyard.
All right. All right, Moors. Islam. Peace and love, Moors. Peace and love.